You're entering Corsi Nation.
This is Jerome Corsi, and today it's Wednesday. It's April 30th, 2025. We're already through the first quarter. We're into the second quarter. Went through pretty quickly with the first 100 days of Donald Trump's presidency. I think the second 100 days are going to be even more dynamic. We've got a couple of things I want to cover, really important today. By the way, this is CorsiNation.com. We revised the Corsi Nation broadcast as a flagship. And I went through, as everybody knows, after the Mueller investigation, I think I've made it clear. I went through tremendous personal anguish that they were going to put me in prison the rest of my life, except I wouldn't take their plea deal. That's why they were threatening to bring me before a jury in Washington that would hate me and convict me of some crime for the rest of my life, put me in prison. Didn't take their plea deal. That was their alternative. They wanted me to say I had a connection with Julian Assange, which I did not have. So I said, I better get ready to put me in prison because I'm not going to lie to keep myself out of prison. And if I had Donald Trump, they would have had their Russian collusion story made. And Donald Trump's presidency would have been in trouble in the first term. So I did not take their plea deal. They did not indict me. In fact, instead, they closed the Mueller investigation. Gone through personal turmoil. My wife supported me at that period of time. We were married 32 years. And then she decided to have an affair and divorced me. So there's the PTSD and all the trauma we went through, which ultimately destroyed my marriage of 32 years. So now we're back at work. I think God took her out of my life so I could get back to work. And she was deeply opposed to me being involved in politics. She thought the FBI would be knocking at the door again, and it traumatized her. That's probably one of many factors. At any rate, this is CorsiNation.com. You can follow us on at Corsi Jerome 1 on X, Jerome Corsi PhD.substack.com. Also follow us there. We're doing Substacks almost every day now. Okay, now the lead story I want to cover is one I've been waiting to cover for wanting to see happen for a long time. What this story is that we finally have appointed a task force now on election integrity. And it's pretty much exactly like we've been saying. I mean, this is almost right out of the script I've been broadcasting on the show for weeks. So U.S. Attorney Alina Habba, who was been very close to Donald Trump, very involved in a lot of the work during the campaign. She just announced that she's going to be heading a voter integrity task force together with the Department of Homeland Security's Kristi Noem and FBI Director Kash Patel. Now, this is important for several reasons. Number one, we have finally an official group constituted to go after the voter integrity task force. I feel this is the culmination of the work we've done, or at least the beginning of the final chapter, hopefully, God's Five Stones. And Christy, we'll go to God's Five Stones, G-O-D, no apostrophe S, and then 5, F-I-V-E spelled out, and S-T-O-N-E-S plural, godsfivestones.com. And please donate. We're going to need to raise more money in order now to continue the battle. What we've shown is that there are algorithms in the state election databases. And now we're at a point where we're going to be able to have a task force which will be examining this. I've said repeatedly on the show, those who listen to us every day, that what we need here is President Trump to establish a task force, just like they did. The Democrats are good at this. They established a task force, Operation Crossfire Hurricane, the Department of Justice. That was the Russian collusion investigation. But once the Department of Justice did that, they could have Department of Justice lawyers and FBI agents assigned to this task force full time. And that gave them counterintelligence powers, which allowed them to conduct an intelligence operation overseas with Great Britain and Australia, Five Eyes, and to frame Donald Trump saying he had worked with Russia to steal the 2016 election. All nonsense. Okay, so God's Stone has been finding these algorithms and showing that the state databases have secret codes that permit the creation and voting of false voters. Now, this task force is a combination of the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI. Now, that's also important. I wrote an article with General Flynn recently, an American thinker, saying that President Trump had bypassed the Department of Justice as his primary attack on the election fraud. Why? Because, as we heard Tulsi Gabbard announce at a cabinet meeting just a couple of weeks ago, when there were cameras brought into the cabinet room, and Tulsi Gabbard said that we have proof that the computers that run the elections have been penetrated and that foreign actors are influencing our elections. Now, that's a reference both to the computers that run the state database board of elections, right in the heart of the system itself, the computer that starts it all. Okay, millions and millions of false records and people who shouldn't be voting, non-citizens, for example. And then secondly, you combine it with the Department of Justice. So now we can have criminal cases, but because DHS is involved, this is a national security investigation. So Donald Trump is saying because the computers are now subject to penetration by foreign actors, we're going to have to get the computers out of our election system. We're going to have to go to voter IDs, and we're going to have to go to proof of citizenship to vote. And we're going to have to demand everything be done in paper. Now, the Democrats' heads are going to literally explode over this one. They're going to go insane over this one because they have been architecting mail-in balloting and cheating in elections for decades. They finally succeeded in stealing the 2020 election. President Trump is not going to allow it. Now, this task force, what's it going to do? It's going to, first of all, investigate, and we're going to call for various states being looked at. Wisconsin is number 1, followed by Florida, number 2. We've got proof positive in many of these states that the voter records are criminally flawed. And the computers have, this also justifies the work done by Sidney Powell, by Mike Lindell, by others like Hovan Pulitzer. The courts would not take the case because challenging the 2020 election was a mistake. Saying going after the computers, the Dominion computers, etc. They did, enough proof is there to know that the data was sent overseas, was manipulated. And so now the case involves both the computers that tabulate the results and the computers that create the voter rolls, all of which have been subject to interference by foreign actors. So now with criminal investigations, we can get prosecutions that may include treason prosecutions. Chris, I want you to comment on this. This is a very, very big story, and it's one I'm really thrilled to be able to report today because I've been fighting for this for now 2 years. What do you think, Chris?
Well, yeah, you've been doing this for a very long time, and it's been talked about by many in the past. But you and Andrew Paquette actually pulled this one off and got the. It took a while, but it got the attention of the right people, and we're seeing we're actually seeing the fact that. And here's the interesting thing: the mainstream media hasn't quite jumped on this yet, but they're probably planning. They're going to jump on this, like you said. The liberals, the Democrats, their heads are going to spin. They're being caught here. What it'll be interesting to see what happens, how this is going to be covered. The best thing is this could just keep going under the radar until results are pushed forth in the next, I guess, as as per the findings of the of yourself, Andrew Paquette, and of course the upcoming task force. So this will be interesting when this comes out. It'll be a shock to a lot of people who have had their heads buried in the sand, but it's interesting.
Well, I want to give Andrew Paquette a lot of credit.
Right.
Because he is the genius who figured out that first that New York State had this cryptographic scheme, and he cracked the whole code. He showed how the deck of voters was scrambled, so you could insert false records without there being apparent. It's very complicated. It's a cryptographic scheme that is worthy of intelligence agencies, which is why I think Trump is right to say that the intelligence agencies and foreign actors through the intelligence community have penetrated our elections. Now, what Piquet found was indisputable, because it's hard science, hard cracking of a code. It's like if the Enigma machine was Nazi Germany's. There's Andrew Piquet when he had his beard. He's shaved his beard. He's looking a little bit better these days. But he's really a young man, but the beard makes him look quite considerably older. Andrew is a computer graphics genius. He's written 2 textbooks published by Springer in Great Britain, in Europe, which is the Bain scientific publisher. He has a PhD from King's College in London, which is very prestigious. And he is just a genius at this stuff. And my ability was to understand what he was saying, to validate that it was right, and be able to explain it to people. So the breakthrough here, if it had just been the voting machines and the Dominion machines, and Sidney Powell had to plead guilty to a plea deal, and Mike Lindell's about financially ruined. So the deep state fought successfully against the effort to overturn the 2020 election. But once we found these algorithms, it was game over. It just took a while to explain it. And when we did explain it, the Democrats did not use the algorithms in the presidential election in 2024. So you'll notice in 2024, the battleground states in 2020 stopped counting and produced these massive number of mail-in ballots that they ran through the machine, and suddenly Biden is ahead and Biden wins. That did not happen. On election night, the computers were stopped, the vote was called, and all 7 of the battleground states for Donald Trump. And so, Chris, that was a decisive victory. That was the algorithms were still used in the down ballot elections, and they're still in the computer, so they can be used in the 2026 midterm elections if we don't get them out of there. That's why what Trump has done is so important.
Think about this. The algorithms could likely have been used also to make the Trump-Harris election look closer than it really was. Think about that.
It could have been, but, again, the algorithms have been in these states since 2004 and 2007. It happened after HAVA, the Help America Vote Act,
right,
when Congress said that the counties are no longer going to establish the state IDs. It's going to be the state boards of elections that do. Well, as soon as that happened, criminals knew where they could cheat, and they could create false records and pack them in the millions inside these voter registration rolls, and then use them at will and mail and ballot schemes. That's what's being done, and we can prove that. Okay, so now we're going to catch them, because this is not speculation anymore. If it had not been for Andrew Piquet and the work he did, and our promoting it with God's 5 stones, we would not be here today. It's that simple.
Right. It's not a bombastic release the Kraken thing. This is something that's been working underneath. These are the viper fish in the darkness of the sea at this point. That's what you had to find. And this is where the mainstream media and this is where the left are going to have problems. You have now the proof.
They never thought we would find the algorithms.
Right.
The criminals never thought we would. They thought they were so clever. These things were so difficult to find. I mean, cracking these codes is not easy. Some codes will never be cracked. Now that we have computers and the ability with quantum computers coming, we're going to be having a very difficult time breaking codes. But this one was broken. And once it was broken, they were caught. And so now justice is going to start grinding very, very finely. But we're going to find a lot of people are going to go to prison. And we're going to get election integrity reestablished. The Democrats are going to go insane over this. But it's going to happen. Okay, so I want to switch to one other story about what's going on with the Justice Department. And this has to do with Ed Martin. Gateway Pundit is reporting today that Ed Martin, who's a good friend, I've known Ed for 25 years. He runs Eagle Forum after Phyllis Schlafly died. He was working very closely with Phyllis. And I worked very closely with Phyllis Schlafly when we were fighting the Trans-Texas Corridor and the Security and Prosperity Partnership of North America. Okay, we beat that. They finally decided they weren't going to cut this 8 or 20 football field wide highway through the center of Texas to bring in cargo ships from China filled with slave-created goods to undercut U.S. markets and get rid of U.S. manufacturing. This is what free trade meant. It didn't mean anything about free trade. It meant letting China steal off all of our capital all of our goods. And when the middle class is unemployed, who's going to buy all these cheap Chinese goods? That's the flaw in this globalism, and it's always missing a point. But Ed Martin is now up for it. Gateway Pundit is reporting today that Ed Martin he's going to have to be confirmed. He's now the U.S. attorney in Washington. He's doing a good job, but the Democrats hate him because he's using the power of the attorney general to go after the Democrats. And so Adam Schiff said he's going to place a hold on the vote to confirm Adam Schiff. Well, Adam Schiff has just signed his own death sentence here. Not literally, but his sentence as a politician, because Adam Schiff has now targeted himself for criminal prosecution, and that it'll be investigated. He's got lots of sex issues back in his hometown, and I've been reporting on those for years. He's got money issues, where to get all the money in his campaigns, and he has been pushing these Russian collusion and other hoaxes, which are lies. And he's been doing it in the criminal justice system. Right now, he's placing a hold on Ed Martin for political reasons. Well, Adam Schiff is going to be targeted, and he's going to be examined very hard by the Justice Department. Now we're going after our political enemies. No, Adam Schiff is a criminal. He's used the power of the Senate to pursue weaponized political objectives, and he's used the Justice Department to come after people like me. Well, that's the weaponization. Now to get it right, to get these criminals out of the justice system, which I think, by the way, is just about to fire everybody, start over again with a new group that are not anti-Trump. Okay, so Ed Martin is going to have a fight, because if they do not get him to a vote, then it's going to be another temporary U.S. attorney who's going to be picked. Okay, so the Senate Committee Judiciary Democrats are saying Ed Martin, Trump's pick for U.S. attorney, told us under oath that he'd seen photographs he had seen of pardoned insurrectionists posing as Hitler before giving him an award. Okay, so they're going after him for anything they can find that they can use to discredit him, saying he did false statements under oath. Okay, now that's, again, the weaponization and the determination of the Democrats to continue cheating, lying, and stealing elections is now exposed. Just as it is exposed, the Democrats are in love with these MS-13 terrorists and the Venezuelan gangs that Venezuela sent here to terrorize Americans. Okay, now President Trump had an interview yesterday in the White House, which I thought Trump handled it brilliantly. We're going to play a little bit of it, because Trump is a master at not letting these stupid journalists have their day. Okay, now Trump, just watch how Trump handles this guy. Okay, this guy is a complete jerk. He gets an interview with Trump in the Oval Office because he's unknown. Trump decided to give him a chance. And just like Zelensky, the cameras roll, and this guy thinks he's going to make himself a media star by being a jerk, by disrespecting the president of the United States. Okay, well, we hate Trump, so it's okay to be disrespectful to him. No, it's not. That's the Oval Office there, you jerkhead. Let's listen to this ABC jerkhead. What's his name, by the way, Chris?
Of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a good question. It's Moran,
He had
Anthony Moran.
MS-13 on his knuckles.
Anthony Moran.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
See, wait, stop that right there. Stop it right there. Stop it right there. Okay, play that little clip again. What he does is, you see, this guy thinks he's slick. This SOB thinks he's slick. So what he's going to do is he's going to say now, he's going to make his point over Trump's point, and then try to move on without giving Trump a chance to say that he's a jerk. We want his point to be the last point. That he's trying to get a clip that they can show on ABC as to how he beat Trump. Now, this is complete BS. Now, play it. I want people to see the technique. Go ahead and do it.
On his knuckles, tattoo.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshop, Terry. You can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to
Terry,
move on to something.
Terry
else.
Moran, not Anthony. My bad.
Do you want me to show you the picture?
Yeah.
I
See,
saw the
we
picture.
And you think it was Photoshop?
okay. Stop it again. Moran is constantly saying his position's correct, and Trump is wrong. Okay, now that's a clip they wanted to play on ABC. This whole thing was set up to get moments like that. Now, Trump isn't having it. Trump is saying this guy is a complete jerk. He's disrespecting the office of the presidency, and Trump isn't putting up with it. So Trump's now going to make sure if they run this clip and don't show him pointing out that this guy is a knuckle-headed jerk. Okay, so he's saying, no, the picture showed up in Venezuela. The fingers didn't show the tattoos. Well, okay, it was photoshopped. How do they know it wasn't photoshopped by, CBS, which also rearranged Kamala Harris's interview so she didn't sound like a babbling idiot? And the head of 60 Minutes just resigned in disgrace over that and other incidents. Okay, no, but no, he's going to say, well, of course, Mr. President, the MS-13 were what was on the knuckles, and that's what was photoshopped. No, that's complete BS. This guy was a Venezuelan terrorist. All the things in Maryland, all the reports of this guy, he's a mother raper, father raper, kid raper, bad guy. Okay, and he's got a rap sheet that's a mile long. But the Democrats want to support these guys because Trump deported them. They can't stand that we're not letting criminals in here to destroy the United States. So this guy essentially is anti-American traitor, and he's supporting MS-13 terrorists. Now, if that's what the Democratic Party wants to do, the Democratic Party can transform from Lyndon Johnson, we decided he would buy off all the blacks with aid to families with dependent children and break up their families. But they'd vote for him because they got money. Then they become communist. Okay, so now you got all the Adam Schiffs and everybody else who hates the United States and wants to get money from China. Thank you, Joe Biden. And now they're becoming traitorous because they're going to try to impeach Trump again. So continue playing this a little bit more and just show you how this guy is not interested in an honest interview. He's interested in making points to advance his career because he had a gotcha with the president of the United States. And this is completely disrespectful, and it's completely traitorous. This guy should be thrown on the street and let him apply for welfare himself and see if he gets it. Okay, play the rest of this.
But go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine,
No,
sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No.
How slick this guy is.
He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're
Well,
there
who
now.
the hell is this guy to talk to the president of the United States like that?
He's got MS-13.
Where's his
on
proof?
his
I don't see any
knuckles.
damn proof.
Okay,
We'll take a look.
it's you do
We'll take a
such a
look.
disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say yes, he does, and go on to something else?
Trump is the one who comes out ahead here. Now this guy's going to get booted out of the White House, and he'll never be back in there. And his career is going to be ruined because I think Trump is going to now go after the guy and go after ABC. ABC wants to behave like this. Trump will throw them out of the White House like he threw the AP out of the White House. Then he can throw Reuters out of the White House. He can throw them all out of the White House. Nobody will miss them. They're not reporting the news. They're just reporting their gotcha anti-Trump crap. Well, where was this guy when Biden was kissing little girls and trying to grab Trump's wife during the inauguration? Those pictures are being shown now on the internet. Biden getting a feel. This guy's Biden is a complete creep with all the ice cream. Show the ice cream pictures again, Chris. I love seeing all these pictures with Biden shoving ice cream up his nose. I mean, this guy's a complete jerk. It was completely mentally incompetent. The press covered up for him. We do not have a free press in the United States. We've got a U.S. aid paid for press in combination with the CIA. Here's Biden ice cream. There's Biden ice cream. Look at his long hair in the back. I mean, this guy, complete jerk, eating ice cream. Was he? Come on, little kiddies, come on over here. See Uncle Joe. Sit in my lap. We have ice cream. Pedophiles dominating. This guy couldn't stop sniffing little girls, and the mainstream media ignored it. He didn't know where he was half the time, but yet he could eat an ice cream cone. Here we have him more with ice cream cones. This is during COVID with the mask. Got to take his mask down to eat the ice cream. Okay, and then we've been through some of the worst. More ice cream with his aviator glasses on. Yeah, well, this guy, a complete failure, the criminal, taking money through the USAID. So it comes out now the USAID was giving Burisma huge amounts of money, while Joe Biden's son got $50,000 a month on the board. Okay, so we funded Biden's son to get the money from Burisma, which is the oil and natural gas company in Ukraine that they were trying to position against Gazprom. Here we are, more ice cream. That's all you do. Got pictures of him with ice creams, and Obama started this with pictures of Obama scarfing down hot dogs. He loved to do that. I wonder why. And Biden here with ice cream. You got all kinds of pictures of Obama stuffing hot dogs in his mouth. That always struck me. So we got Obama fixated on hot dogs and Joe Biden fixated on ice cream. And I want you to tell me it has nothing to do with their sexual inclinations. These guys are jerks, and they're evil. They destroyed America, did their best to destroy America. I wrote Abomination in 2008 and pointed out that Obama was anti-American, and we would end up with worse race relationships than ever because Obama was in office. There's Obama shoving another hot dog into his mouth. Wonder why. I'm sure it has no symbolic meaning whatsoever. Okay, let's move on from that. There's another hot dog, Obama. Obama shoving another hot dog in his mouth. I would love to shove hot dogs in his mouth and be photographed with him, hanging them out ahead of him while I took the first bites. Love that particular shot. Okay, let's go on. I want to cover a couple things on the economy. We have today, gold is now trading at about $3,300 an ounce, well above $3,000 an ounce, headed to $4,000 an ounce. And the stock market is still very, very rocky. It's still not a very reliable or safe place to be investing because it's very, very, very rocky. Okay. Now, what we see here is we see the movement forward of an economy that's going to have to come to some kind of a crash one way or the other, because the global economy is in stagnation right now. And you're going to find that France and Germany, Portugal, by the way, Spain, went to all green energy and they had a nationwide blackout. The green energy is suicide for Europe. And what Trump is saying when he met in the Vatican with Zelensky was basically, you can do all you want, Zelensky, but when we cut off your money, you're done. You're dead duck. And pretty soon we're getting tired of you. We're getting tired of Putin. We're just going to cut off the money, and Putin can take your damn country, and we don't care. If you want to save your country, stop being a jerk. Stop trying to lecture me. That's how Trump was going to say about how we have to give you security guarantee. We don't have to give you any damn security guarantee. Victoria Nuland and everybody else were trying to get Ukraine to be in the NATO, jammed up across the border with CIA stations on the Russian border in Ukraine. And Russia was supposed to put up with it. Trump is going to say to Zelensky in words of one syllable, without our money and our arms and our equipment, you're a dead duck. Maybe literally, because he won't be able to deliver to Kolomowski and the other oligarchs who Kolomowski ran private bank, and Biden got a big U.S. grant to Ukraine, millions of dollars, if not billions, to fight against Russian natural gas. And the money arrived in Ukraine. It went into private bank and it disappeared because they money laundered it all into Cyprus. So that's how they were stealing money. The Democrats learned how to get federal money through USAID to come to their NGOs, their non-governmental organizations, Black Lives Matter. When the two women had Black Lives Matter buy mansions, they're Maoists. Maoists love to buy mansions for themselves while abusing the people. Okay, so that's the dirty, dark secret of communism and Maoism. People be damned. It's all about power for those few who can lie, cheat, and steal. The Democrats are good at it. So show the book. Please call Swiss America and get a copy of this free book, which is How the Coming Global Crash Will Create a Historic Gold Rush. Toll-free number is 1-800-519-6268. Write it down, 1-800-519-6268. Okay, now, this is a book that I wrote 2 years ago. It's describing what's going on today. And now today I'm telling you, call Swiss America and start setting up a self-directed IRA. If you've got an IRA, protect it. Even if you have just a few $1,000s in it, you can get a self-directed IRA, which will give you a trust account at a Delaware depository institution where you can actually hold physical gold and silver in your IRA. Okay, you can't take receipt of the gold and silver, but you can put it in a depository. That's the rules. And then you can get a guarantee on it with the Lloyd's of London contract, an insurance contract, that your gold and silver is really there and it's really yours. Okay, now if the gold and silver continues to go up and the stock market continues to be rocky, do you really want to be in the stock market? That's the question I'm asking you. And if you do want to, good luck. I started talking about this when gold was at $1,800 an ounce. When gold goes to $3,600 an ounce, it will have doubled and you'll have missed out. Okay, so don't blame me. 1-800-519-6268. And the other thing I'm encouraging you to do is this My Vital C. These are our sponsors. If you like the show, use the sponsors. My Vital C, which Chris will show you, is this remarkable molecule, carbon-60. It's discovered about 40 years ago, mostly found in outer space, can be produced here on Earth, and it's now able to be consumable, soluble in olive oil, which I like, coconut oil, or avocado oil. And the products are good. Chris just showed you at the top how you can buy My Vital C. They help sleep. They increase mental acuity. These products are wonderful products. They have them available for hair creams. I've been using them in my hair for years. And also dogs and cats, which love this product. And so you're going to find that this is a life force product that is extremely worth looking at and buying. Try it out, especially if you like the show and want us to continue. Support our sponsors. Okay, now I want to get a couple more stories in here before we wrap up. And one is the conclave going on in Rome. Now, Archbishop Vigano has been saying that since Pope Benedict was deposed by the CIA when John Podesta wanted to run the Catholic Spring, which was, like the Arab Spring and all these other Soros revolutions. So there was a plan by the CIA to penetrate the Vatican and make sure the next pope was communist. Our communist CIA, which, by the way, is also running pedophilia on the border, was also running the drug trade on the border. And Biden, with his Archbishop McCarrick, made deals with Honduras and the Vatican to support the Honduran president, who was involved in the fentanyl trade and child sex trade. So the Vatican was into the most evil things you can imagine under Pope Francis, who turned out to be LGBT communist. Okay, so now what Archbishop Vigano was saying is, since about 2/3 of the cardinals who are going to be in this conclave were appointed by Francis, and since Francis was an illegitimate pope, having stolen the conclave and forcing Pope Benedict to resign, that these cardinals have no authority within the Catholic Church. And Archbishop Vigano is going to propose a new slate of cardinals to go in and to elect a legitimate pope. So there's right now a fight going on in the Catholic Church, and Archbishop Vigano is the one who's leading it. I published in Chris Rubio's show and on the screen, and I encourage everybody to get this, Archbishop Vigano's book, which is a book that is on it's called J'accuse, I accuse. And what he's doing is accusing Pope Francis of being the heretic, saying he was excommunicated because he supported the true church, the true liturgy of Jesus Christ, instead of the synodal movement, which was a movement. There's the book. Get a copy of it. It's not very expensive. It's a short book, but it is extremely important because it defines what's going on in the Catholic Church as this battle between good and evil that is going on with the woke versus America First. And the woke is fortunately, the DEI has become DIE. All these DEI programs are dead ducks. So is ESG. So is men and women's sports. So is other evil idea the Democrats have had. Sexual mutilation of children over gender insecurity before they've reached the age of puberty. And I'm saying if parents object, the children will be taken from the parents. The Democrats have become evil. And if they're represented by Adam Schiff and Al Green and Maxine Waters and AOC, these people come right out of hell. And the world they want to create for you is a world you don't want to live in. 2 books we're doing to propose this. Silicon Satan by Craig Ludd. We interviewed him yesterday. Very important novel on the evil of Satanism, which we see in Hollywood, which we see in the elite, see in the Democratic Party. And by the way, Pam Bondi, why don't we have the Epstein material released? Who are you protecting? The other book was very good. We've just come out with this with Todd Callender, Disease X and Military Martial Law. Okay, it's going to be, we're changing it to be, and medical martial law. The book is extremely good. We're getting a lot of interviews being requested on it. And it's all about the World Economic Forum attempting to subvert U.S. sovereignty through another health emergency. And it looks like there is another pathogen that's about to be released. I'm reviving and getting up all my telemedicine programs in anticipation of what I think is going to be another medical attack on Donald Trump. Okay, and finally, as I take a look at the international news, I want to end with 1 or 2 comments here. Trump is saying that Ukraine will be crushed without a peace deal. Okay, so what now Trump is saying is that Putin is opening to make a deal with Ukraine. And it's actually easier to deal with Putin than it is to deal with Zelensky. And Zelensky's in here asking for all these. Zelensky's fighting for his life. This stupid BS comic wearing this fatigues as if he were military. This cocaine addict is saying, well, I want more for Ukraine. You've got to give us more money that we can steal and put up our nose. Okay, so essentially, what Glenn Beck had a very interesting interview, and what the whole point of the interview was that Russia is a massive military force. Okay, and without all the military equipment and the money we're giving Ukraine, they don't have a chance. And so, therefore, Trump is saying, without a peace deal, this was in the Atlantic magazine on Monday, that Ukraine's going to be crushed. And Putin's going to take Kiev, he's going to take the whole country, and NATO can go to hell. If that happens, Trump will probably pull out of NATO, just like he pulled out of the World Economic Forum, just like he's pulling out of the World Trade Organization. If we don't fund the World Trade Organization, it eventually dies. If we don't fund NATO, it dies. If we don't fund the United Nations, it dies. It'll go DEI to DIE. And all these organizations are outmoded. They're all become negative. They've all become ridiculous. It's time to get rid of them. And finally, on the judges, all these judges who are saying you can't deport the Venezuelan gangs, let's charge some of these judges under supporting the enemy laws. Let's charge some of these judges with supporting illegal immigrants who create criminal crimes. Let's say these judges are themselves criminal for defending the criminal class and not doing their job. Let's start prosecuting the judges. It's begun. And if that doesn't work, then reorganize the federal district and circuit courts, which we can do, put a law into Congress, and when that law passes, all these judges lose their jobs. And Trump gets to replace the entire federal judiciary. Okay, so the judiciary is not going to win here. They're fighting a losing battle because they're on the side of the devil. They want to support criminals. They want to support the destruction of our cities. They want to have massive deficits that we steal the money. Okay, so finally, I think Trump is succeeding in a way that his next 100 days, world is going to see a revolution of common sense. And I'll tell you, I pray every day for Trump to continue, for God to continue his hand of protection on Trump. Trump survived 2 assassination attempts. And the last, the one in which he just turned his head a fraction of an inch at the right second, a millimeter of an inch, hand of God was on him. That was an intervention of God. There's no other way to explain it. Not in my mind. So in the final analysis, God always wins. God's going to win here too. But the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14, we still need to get on our knees. We still need to ask God's forgiveness for letting it get to this point. And in conclusion, I'm rejoicing to see that we now have a task force on election integrity created at the level of this Alina Habba within the White House. It's going to involve both DHS and the Department of Justice, which is going to get us the voter integrity, whether the Democrats like it or not. Donald Trump is now ready to invoke, under his Article 2 powers as commander-in-chief. And if we mandates on national security that we have voter ID and proof of citizenship and paper ballots, so be it. He has that authority. And by the way, Canada wanting to go with the globalists, good luck. We'll see how you survive. But the down election, the parliament elections were strongly conservative. And we need to get a real conservative running for prime minister up there who will say, we need to join with the United States. If they want to become a 51st state, there's a future. If they want to side with the globalists, they'll go down with the dustbin of history. China, by the way, is running out of copper. China will come to its knees under these tariffs. These tariffs are a genius idea by Donald Trump, and they will return capital to the United States and jobs and manufacturing to the United States. It's time we put a stake in the nasty heart of this free trade globalism. I'm finally seeing some blue sky ahead. And thank God for the opportunity of this reprieve. Let's just hope we can get it right. Let's hope we can defeat these demons and send them back to hell where they belong. It's Dr. Jerome Corsi. This is CorsiNation.com. We're doing podcasts every weekday. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. God bless.